So it looks like these farmers might actually get a bailout, even though they effed around and found out.
Farmers are waiting to hear the details of what could be a financial lifeline as farm bankruptcies this year are surging.
Which, if you honestly think about it, doesn't really make sense because since a lot of these farmers are being tariffed, a bailout of some type probably means that they're just gonna get their money back that they handed towards the government, and probably not at the full amount either. Which I'm gonna point out again, a bailout is a government handout, which is socialism, which is something they're supposed to be against, but they love to accept them because they're in so much trouble right now. But let's see what else they have to say about this.
Farmers may be forced to sell their crops at steep losses now that China, once the largest buyer of U.S. soy exports, is retaliating against U.S. tariffs.
So you've done all this work and you have more work to do and you're losing money.
Yeah, it's a great occupation, isn't it?
It could mean ruin for some farmers. As of June, 55% more filed for bankruptcy compared to the previous year-to-year period.
And I'm not like a trade expert or anything like that, but common sense would just tell me that I think a lot of these countries who already have their relationships ruined with our country and have a sour taste in their mouth are probably not going to come back anytime soon. Since China is already purchasing its soybeans from Brazil, and I believe also Argentina now too. Even though President Kank Swells sent Argentina a $20 billion check to help them out. Add on top of that, our neighbors to the north, Canada, have drastically reduced their purchasing when it comes to products from the US, such as whiskey, as well as travel into the United States. Also, folks from other countries are planning to not come to the US as well because they don't want to risk it.
Spirit sales, liquor sales plunge 85% in exports to Canada alone. 85% drop in exports in spirits. Second quarter in the United States, 2025, plunge 85%. Remember when Donald Trump threatened to make Canada the 51st state? Do you remember when Donald Trump said we don't need Canada for anything? Yeah, apparently they don't need us. Apparently there's 7.7 billion other people and companies in the world that Canada can buy from. Did you know that not only is Canada boycotting travel here and buying any American products, they are the whole world is boycotting us. We only have 350 million people in the United States. There are almost 7.8 billion. This is an FAFO for the United States of America, for Donald Trump, for Republicans, for MAGA. This would have stimulated our economy, and instead an 85% drop.
Breaking news, Donald Trump is planning billions of dollars of bailout for the farmers. What? Yes, the soybean farmers and all the other farmers that Trump's tariffs have cost them billions. He's now planning to use our tax dollars to bail them out after his tariffs have wrecked their business. And I say no bailout. We can't bail out Americans protecting their health care. We can't protect them from their Affordable Care Act subsidies. We can't do it on Medicaid. We can't feed our children and others under SNAP and various programs. We have trouble with school lunches. We are cut meals on wheels for the elderly. But again, we're going to send billions to farmers now that Trump's tariffs have cost them their livelihood. I mean, this is so messed up. The tariffs caused all the problems to begin with. Maybe we should cut Trump's salary and all of his administration salary because they clearly don't know what they're doing. What do you think? No bailout for farmers? What do you think? Cut Trump salaries, all of his employees, all of his administration? Yeah, all of them. Let me know what you think. Love to hear from my Democrats, my MAGAs, my crazies, my cuckoos, my brand new labels. We use this spatula to spatula them up. What do you think?
So Jack Daniels just told farmers in Tennessee they've got to pull themselves up by their bootstraps while they sip whiskey off their pain. So here's the deal. So for years, the Jack Daniels Company had this agreement with the farmers of Moore County, Tennessee. Farmers raise cows and Jack Daniels makes whiskey. Everybody wins, right? Because see, after you distill all that liquor, you wind up with all this waste, this grain waste that they call slop. Now, instead of just throwing it away, Jack Daniels used to give it to farmers for free or like really dirt cheap. Farmers fed their cows, Jack Daniels got rid of the waste, and everybody was winning. But as of March 31st this year, all that's done. Now it got pulled because Jack Daniels has started using this new, what do they call it here? An anaerobic digester facility. So basically, it needs constant grain, and it eats the leftover grain for energy, so there is no waste, which means there's no more slop left for the farmers. So now they're all scrambling to find a way to feed these animals because in a market where everything has gone up, even feed has too. Now, the craziest part of this is the government isn't stepping in to help this time. Farmers being told, figure it out, you're on your own, which is wild because farmers are used to getting government handouts, but this time it ain't coming. Well, this is the America you voted for. Big corporations changed the rules, cut the little guy out. And the people in power are just going to shrug like it's not their problem. Elections have consequences, and not just for you, but for your cows too. The next time you pour up a glass of Jack Daniels, don't forget, somebody's cows went hungry so the distillery could save a buck. Cheers to that, America.
Are you a farmer? If you're not a farmer, you don't have to pay attention. Since I'm in the financial world, every day I read the New York Times business section. Headline today, China bought $12.6 billion in U.S. soybeans last year. Now it's $0. Almost $13 billion versus zero. Farmers ain't going to be happy. Why did this happen? Yeah, because of Trump's tariffs. That's exactly why it happened. There is no other reason. Okay, you might say, what about other countries of the world? Are they buying American soybeans? Well, let's see. Total soybean exports to the rest of the world are still down 23% this year. Now, I feel badly for the farmers who overwhelmingly supported Donnie, but just like last time he was in office and they got screwed, they're going to hold their hands out for a handout. Are they going to call that socialism? Are they going to call that welfare? No, I don't know what they're going to call it, but they're going to ask for it. Do you think that's fair? I want the farmers to do well. Truly, we can't live without our farmers. But I wish they would realize what Trump is doing, has done, and will do. To make it easy, Trump screws everybody.
On today's episode of FAFO, brought to you by Ohio farmers.
In the mood I'm in right now and how we see things, I'm glad the government shut down. I wish they would get out of the way.
I mean, you guys did help the government that you elected go in, and now they're causing you all of these issues. Kind of like how he did in his first term.
From 2013, our income is down over 50%.
Though China cut back, they were still buying American soybeans. In this latest trade war, the China market has essentially been shut down.
Just as a friendly reminder, in the year 2024, during the election season, Ohio went 55.2% to Sir Cancelot.
That's why Sarah, who supported the tariffs at first, said he's imploring Washington to do something to break the logjam, either move forward or back on tariffs.
They're either not strong enough or, they're just not working. I'm not sure.
Oh, I'm pretty sure they're not working. Because China, who is pretty much the largest buyer of soybeans from us, decided to just go with the abstinence and pull-out method and said, forget about the US, we're going to abstain from buying from you and just pull out and buy from Brazil instead. And it also seems like China is just buying from Argentina as well. And it seems like a lot of farmers are just on standby mode now, waiting for a government bailout from Sir Cancelot. In which I do want to remind you that using taxpayer money in your eyes is a form of socialism, which you guys are supposedly against.
Look, he ran on America first, right? I need someone to explain this to me. What did we go through the whole Doge and wasteful spending and waste, fraud, and abuse cutting if we're just going to go ahead and give $20 billion US to Argentina? So this is from Heather Cox Richardson's Facebook page. The administration officials are making sure the shutdown that has put Americans out of work doesn't affect their own priorities. They have prioritized a $20 billion bailout of Argentina's failed economy as essential. So it will proceed. The bailout will help right-wing leader Javier Milei, a Trump ally. What the fuck happened to America first? But it gets worse because soybean farmers in America, right? You guys, you voted overwhelmingly for this man, and then he slaps tariffs, and China has pulled out from buying soybeans from your farms, and now your farms are at risk of closing. But to add insult to injury, Argentina's soy exports to China have soared. So he's giving a $20 billion bailout to the country that stole your business. You guys, look, we may be the evil liberal left, but we warned you that the tariffs would have overwhelmingly drastic and devastating consequences to everyone, including farmers. If you think I'm full of shit, I have extended family members who have farms that were hurt the first time during the tariffs, during his first administration. And yet you guys still ran back to him. And now he is giving a $20 billion bailout. America first. That's what they kept saying. Make America great again. Apparently, it wasn't make America great again. It was make Argentina great again. And nothing against the Argentinian people. I have friends who are Argentinian. It is not their fault. But they also voted this idiot of a man in who gave Elon Musk a golden chainsaw to ruin our government. And then this man is going to turn around with his complicit Congress and give $20 billion of American taxpayer money to this country. Meanwhile, children in America are starving in red states and blue states because 38 million Americans are at or below the poverty line. Are you guys going to admit you were wrong? I'm waiting. And look, I am not a Democrat. You can't paint me with that. I live in New Zealand. I'm an American living in New Zealand. I moved here because we have at least somewhat of a more egalitarian government and society where we have paid maternity leave, guaranteed health care for everyone, 20 free daycare hours for kids 3 to 5 years old, 4 weeks guaranteed paid vacation. America apparently is broke, but they're giving $20 billion to Argentina. Your tax dollars going to another country. And I'm not saying that the Democrats aren't partially to blame for when they give other countries money, but you cut USAID and then you give $20 billion.
Farmer, I heard them call it Farmageddon. So it's not just Canada that's having trouble with all this stuff. It seems the Chinese they're buying soybeans from. Oh, yeah. Apparently they haven't bought soybeans from America since the spring. Yep. I was shocked at that.
Yeah, because they have Brazil.
And they got Brazil, and now, whatever Argentina. That you talk about writing checks. Somebody's going to have to write a big check here to the American farmers soon, right?
Yeah, American farmers are in peril. I mean, they're having a hard time, and there are shows to support them. If you're in the grain business, you're hurting because your costs are way above.
Right.
On today's episode of Oh No, I'm Getting What I Voted For.
Growers say they feel betrayed after the Trump administration gave Argentina a financial lifeline, a $20 billion loan. Argentina then immediately dropped their soy tariffs to China, undercutting U.S. farmers.
And as you just saw in that clip, soybean farmers are upset at Orange Man because he gave $20 billion to the country of Argentina to help them out. Which in my opinion sounds very America first, insert sarcasm. Argentina said, "Don't cry for me and thank you for the $20 billion. Got rid of tariffs for China and sold them soybeans. And let's see what these farmers are doing to try to survive the situation that they voted for.
With prices for crops crashing, farmers are doing everything they can to stay viable, even selling off equipment. Joel's Tractors in Strawberry Point, Iowa saw a 30% jump in farm machinery up for auction this year.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie, that is actually one way to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. And what doesn't help the farmer situation is that when they do need machinery, those items are tariffed heavily because of the steel tariffs. The next person that I'm going to show you actually worked for John Deere, the tractor machinery company, in which they're estimating that steel tariffs are going to cost their company $600 million, in which it resulted in layoffs for them.
It's like a kick to the gut, right? When you're getting laid off after you've given 20 plus years to the company.
When you think about these tariffs and the ripple effects that they've had, do you think it's worth it?
You know, you hope that possibly in the long term, they would be helpful. Currently here in the short term, no, it's really killing us.
Wait a minute, wasn't it you guys that were chanting the slogan short-term pain for long-term gains? Because it sounds like that short-term pain is not fun for you guys as well. And if you've enjoyed this episode of FAFO, drop me a comment and let me know what you think about the situation.
Day 260, another day, another gaslight. Making America great again, supposedly. So, yeah. Pam Bondi was asked questions today in front of Congress, and she did nothing but have weird, petty comebacks that, according to her own words, she didn't even know if it was true or not. She told one congressman that basically, like, oh, I heard you were taking bribes from somebody who was Jeffrey Epstein's friend. I believe, but I don't know if it's true. That's literally what she said. And I'm thinking to myself, you do know that the president of the United States is in several pictures with Jeffrey Epstein and really good friends. And even once when he was asked about him, he said he was a really great person. So you might not want to play that card. Okay. She wouldn't answer anything, pretty much. They even asked her a very simple question, yes or no question. Is it true that Donald Trump is in those files? And she couldn't say anything. Another question, yes or no? A congressman asked her, we have heard that in the Epstein files there is pictures of Donald Trump with underage girls who have no clothes on. Yes or no? She flew off the handles, and the congressman is like, is it yes or no? She couldn't answer, or she wouldn't answer, which is kind of telling, because if somebody asked me, is it true that we saw your husband in a picture, or your employee, or your uncle or anybody, and you knew it wasn't true, I'd be like, no, that's categorically false. But no, she didn't even answer it. She refused to answer it and just kept coming back with some petty stuff, which means there must be some crazy stuff in them files, bro. Okay. All right. So that was that. Meanwhile, the Republicans are still gaslighting the country, trying to say that basically the Democrats are holding this up and keeping the government shut down because they want to provide illegal immigrants with federally funded health care. Lies. Like, I don't know how many times they have to say this. Even on the government website, it says that illegal immigrants can't get health care. That's on their own website. But the gullible MAGA people keep on believing it. I did not have this on my 2025 bingo card, or in life, actually, when Marjorie Taylor Greene comes out and basically says, we need to extend the ACA. And that's literally what the Democrats want to do. That it ends, like, if it's not extended, people on the ACA will lose. Millions of Americans will lose their health care coming up in like November 1st. You're losing it. You will lose it. People's premiums will go up. It has absolutely nothing to do with immigrants. It has everything to do with the Democrats trying to make sure that Americans have their health care. Period. Meanwhile, we got old Hot Wheels Abbott, the governor in my state, sending the military into Chicago. Another state's armed forces has now invaded another state's without permission. This is where we are. 2025. And people are still confused that Bad Bunny is American. So between the Republicans not understanding that illegal immigrants don't get federally funded health care, to them not knowing that Puerto Rico is a territory of America and that literally Bad Bunny, old Benito, is more American than our First Lady, these are the people that we have to rationalize with.
Something unprecedented is happening in America right now. President Trump has been sending National Guard troops into Democrat-run cities across the country. Democrat is the political party. The Democrats are the political party in opposition to the ruling, you could say, political party in the US right now, the Republicans. Think of it as blue versus red. Red is led by Trump, obviously. Now, the National Guard being deployed has been a thing that Trump's been doing in several cities, in several states over the last few weeks and months. And Chicago is the latest city in Trump's crosshairs. That's America's third largest city. And the National Guard, remember, are basically like the reserve forces for the US military. So it's a component of the military, right? Now, what's crazy is the states the National Guard are being deployed into are not happy about it, but it's being forced upon them. In some cases, the states have tried to stop it. They've appealed to the legal framework, the legal institution, the judiciary in the US, and Trump has just ignored them or overruled them, putting huge strain now on the federal individual state relationship. Because remember, the US is a federation, right? It's a federal republic, meaning each state is like a really well-integrated country into a greater United States of America. That's why it's called the United States. It's like if Europe had their countries get closer together and eventually formed a United States of Europe. It's like that. So the relationship between, Spain and Germany and the EU, it's closer in America, state versus state. But the federal, which is the thing that sort of lords over all of it, it's causing severe strain with the states because they're forcing the National Guard upon them. Since June of this year, over 4,000 troops have been deployed, for example, to Los Angeles, California, despite the governor of California, Gavin Newsom's fierce objection. California, mind you, is the second largest city in the US. So Trump is is going through it. A federal judge later ruled that his deployment of the National Guard violated the Posse Comitatus Act, the law that keeps military forces out of domestic policing. Acts and, laws and legals, it can get all wordy and da-da-da-da-da, and I'm very wordy, but I try to be wordy in a sort of more conversational way, right? So the Posse Comitatus Act, think of it as our country's military shouldn't be deployed in the country, this to be used against the civilians. It's our military is not the one that rules the civilians. Our civilians rule the military, and we send our military out to other countries or to defend our borders or whatever, right? We don't use our military within the state. It kind of reminds me of Julius Caesar of the Roman Republic, who crossed the Rubicon with his army and basically marched and occupied Rome with Rome's own military, and the Senate freaked out. I'm going to do a video on it because it's really interesting over on my history page, newsbaba.history, so check that out when that comes out, hopefully later today. It's where the phrase crossed the Rubicon comes from, which basically means you've gone beyond the point of no return. You've done something that's now going to set in motion an irreversible chain of events. Very dramatic, and it was dramatic. It actually led to the fall of the Republic, kind of Rome. So, and it turned into an empire under emperors. So anyway, Trump didn't stop after the judiciary said, you violated the Posse Comitatus Act, you deployed troops within American cities against that. Trump carried on. 2,000 more National Guard were deployed to Washington, D.C., the capital, next. Apparently, according to Trump, the city of D.C. Was suffering from rampant crime and lawlessness. Yeah, so dangerous. His opponents pointed out that statistics showed that the city had crime that hasn't been lower. The city has a 10-year record low crime rate. But Trump doesn't let statistics get in the way of his strong, necessary actions. So, next, Portland. Next, Chicago. Let's just keep going, eh? The pattern is clear. Every single deployment targets cities run by Trump's opposition party in America, the Democrats. So for those, I actually wrote in my notes, for those who don't know, and I made some notes about Democrats and Republicans. I'm being completely honest here. I already mentioned that though, so I'm just going to skip past that. Democrats are the blues, the Republicans are the reds. The reds are currently in power. And Trump has really been sort of clamping down or taking action against the Democrats during this latest term of his. So he's deploying the national... I don't know why my accent changed there. Let's try again. So he's deploying the National Guard to flex control of cities currently run by the party in opposition to him. I'm flexing, but it's not working. Let's just put my muscle away. Now in Portland, another city where Trump wanted to deploy National Guard, he tried to send 200 Oregon... That's another state, right? Oregon, Portland, Oregon. No, he tried to deploy the Oregon National Guard into Portland. And a Trump appointed, so this is kind of on his side, a Trump appointed federal judge blocked it, calling the justification by Trump insufficient to deploy National Guard. So what did the White House do? He said, okay, don't worry about the Oregon National Guard. We'll tuck those away. I'm going to take National Guard from California, another state completely, right? I'm going to take 300 of their National Guard and I'm going to deploy it. And Portland, Oregon blocked that. And he said, okay, I'm going to activate the Texan National Guard. Yeehaw, babes. I don't know why I said babes. Damn it. Unscripted, guys. Well, at least unedited. There is a script / notepad behind my phone camera. Anyway, so he tried to deploy 400 Texan National Guard. I won't try a Texan accent anymore. I won't inflict that upon you. And he succeeded. Trump recently even made a comment during the 800 general meeting that I covered on earlier TikTok post. He made a comment about using US cities as training grounds for the military. He's not making it easy to defend him. Not that I'm a Trump defender or apologist, but I'm an analyst, and it's hard to stay neutral when you're analyzing idiotic behavior. It is a bit silly. Even Republicans will admit. I'm sure there's Republicans watching this. They'll be like, Muffles, you're clearly a Democrat. I'm not even an American. Some people, racists in my country, say I'm not even a British citizen. Because, brown. Anyway, loads of people heard what Trump said about deploying National Guard, potentially deploying the military to brushen up, sharpen up their skills, use US cities as training grounds. They were like, excuse me, what? That doesn't sound good. Legal experts and Democratic governors are calling all of what's going on now federal overreach, meaning the federal government, is going too far, warning that militarizing responses to unrest, protest, political disagreements is pushing America towards severe internal conflict. I read that as you're all heading towards civil war. Good luck. Now, let's wrap up with some geopolitical assessments. For the Titan of North America and the Western world that puts the Titan, the US, at its center, right, militarily, economically, diplomatically, all this internal strife is bad news. If it gets worse, we could be seeing recalculations on a global scale. American allies will have to keep adjusting to a former clear leader, the US, now absent because it's too busy punching itself in the face. And global South nations may take the opportunity, with America weakening itself, to make moves that they would never have dreamed of making when America was stronger and well in control of the situation. Hegemonic global control after the collapse of the Soviet Union. It was more focused on looking outwards. Now it's focused on looking inwards, and the rest of the countries might be like, whoa, wait, what? The guy with the big brother vibes, he's gone? Okay, I'm gonna make some moves, right? Mind you, that's already the American trajectory. That's already been happening, and global South countries have already been moving, and Western allies of America have already been readjusting. But further deterioration in American stability means nations will course correct for a new reality, right? If America were to go into civil war next year, for example, every nation that was already adjusting to America's decline would have to adjust more. They would have to readjust because the decline would be more rapid if America went into civil war like that. Geopolitics is a game of constant course correction at a state level. And for better or worse, China is likely to take any lull in American cohesion as an opportunity to quietly keep building, quietly keep advancing, and keep strengthening their own hand. And I'll keep you posted on American stuffs as things develop. And for the unbiased news and analysis without the Western spin, I'm Mahfouz, and I'll see you on the next